agent.
just like a.
Corporation's meeting to order on August 19th at 8 o'clock. Roll call, I see.
Everyone but Oceana.
Everybody but Oceana. Here's we have a quorum. Proof of notice has been posted. Minutes of 7:15 and 7:29. Has everybody a chance to review those minutes?
Yes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept those minutes. A second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Executive summary, financial statements.
Your financial statements to the end of June are in the packet, if anybody has any questions on those.
Any questions? Caitlin? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to accept the executive summary and financial statements.
So move.
So we Mo, second.
Second.
Second, Mike. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? New business.
We have multiple purchase offers in your packet. The first one is for 757 West Onondaga Street. This buyer plans to owner occupy, and he is a contractor, so hopefully he'll be well equipped to deal with the great deal of work that this house needs.
What, is this the second buyer we've had on this property or not?
Oh, probably the third or fourth. at this
Third or
point.
fourth buyer? Okay.
We sold it once to another gentleman who was a contractor. He ended up deciding that he didn't want to continue with the project, and he sold it to a couple that we approved the transfer, and
Right.
they entered into a new development enforcement mortgage with us. And they've gutted the place down to the studs and decided that they don't want to keep going. And so they gave it back to us with a deed in lieu of foreclosure. We've had numerous people that seem seriously interested, but have not actually submitted an offer. And this is the first one that wants to move forward. Now, this is in that DRI corridor, so they do
Yes.
qualify for some assistance with the facade work on the outside. It's in a historic district. They should be able to qualify for the state historic preservation tax credits for owner occupants. But it's,
So do we, I mean, is that assumed if they're aware of that, or is there somebody contacts them?
we work with them on
NBD?
that. So
Okay,
Daniel, our sales guy, will make sure that they have all
They're
those
aware.
resources. Yeah.
okay, good. Any other questions of that property? Okay, go on.
The rest of these are vacant lots. 1337 Butternut Street, the owner of a 4-unit next door wants to purchase this so that his tenants have more parking.
Yes.
400 Atisco Street, we have owned for a very, very long time, and I'm excited we finally have a neighbor who wants to buy it. For the longest time, the landlord that owned that property next door was using it, but had no interest in buying it from us. Their driveway crosses over 400 Atisco, and so there's a new owner of 402, and he would like to purchase that lot.
Okay.
120 Webster, the owner occupant next door would like to purchase it to expand her yard. And 119 John Street, we just recently demolished this, and that often happens right after a demolition. The neighbors are so excited, they come in and approach us immediately wanting to buy the lot. Both neighbors would like to split this property, and I apologize, I have a typo here. They are both owner occupants, and so these will both be 151. Is that right, Terry?
That's right.
Okay. And then 153-55 Phage is an oddly shaped lot, and there's a new owner of the property next door. They're renovating it for themselves to live in, and they would like to buy that triangular shaped piece of the lot from us so that our lots are both regular rectangles.
Okay.
I know I should know the answer to this question, but are we still paying the city 151? I thought that went up with the entitlement.
It has gone up to 326 now. Yeah.
Okay.
So we changed
Just
that.
a reminder that
Yeah, I know.
No, he cost us a few bucks there, Jan.
yeah.
Okay, and that is it.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion unless there's questions on the authorized sale of multiple properties. Okay. Second, all in favor? Aye. And then B is acquire multiple properties, and it's the list, right?
Starting on page 35 of your packet, there's one page of vacant lots that we would like to acquire from the city, mostly vacant lots.
Some are buildings, so correct? Is this, I'm looking at 35.
Yes,
right?
there are two that have buildings on them. 116 Burnett Park Drive is a former bar that is vacant that
Yes, it
NBD would
is.
like us to acquire. And 918 Milton is a vacant single-family home that NBD would like us to acquire. But the rest of these are all vacant lots that we would want to acquire to put together shovel-ready sites for new construction.
Okay. 116 has been a sort of a vexatious property for that neighborhood, so we'll want to keep a monitor closely where it ends up. Any other questions? Okay, I'll ask for a motion to acquire multiple properties from the city of Syracuse. Michael, second? Second, Jonathan, or no, I didn't hear that. All in favor? Aye. Any
Okay.
opposed? Okay, purchase properties from home headquarters.
Oh, this is kind of a mess.
Well, that's a good way to start.
We sold probably 30 properties recently to home headquarters for them to build new housing on. For their AHOP program, they're building 40 homes with the state's Affordable Homeownership Opportunity Program. And 3 of them were supposed to be on these Bishop and Elmhurst lots.
Oh, yeah.
They have to do a phase 1 environmental site assessment for all of the AHOP sites, and the phase 1 came back saying that they were pretty close to a former gas station, and so they recommended a phase 2. We used they did the phase 1 themselves. We used our EPA grant to do that phase 2 to help them out, and found that there's no petroleum contamination, which is great. However, the top 2 feet of soil has some SVOCs that, now that we know about them, would need to be removed before they build housing there. And that would be probably a couple $100,000, which spread across 3 houses is more than their budget allows. So, and they need to move quickly on these AHOP houses because they're supposed to be breaking ground very soon. So what they would like to do is sell us those 3 lots back. And then they have 2 lots in the village of Solvay that they'll sub in. And then you'll see that they want to purchase 234 Hunt Ave from us. So that'll be the 3 replacements. And then we'll need to figure out what to do with these. We have talked with CNS about maybe applying for a cleanup grant in the future to do that soil removal. It's just awfully silly to find ourselves in this situation because frankly, most urban soil has these contaminants in it. It's just that this level of testing is not usually required. Now that we have documentation of it, we need to figure out a plan for these 3 parcels.
Any questions? Okay.
So we would like to buy them back for the price that they paid us, which was $5,000 per parcel. And then if you want in the same action, we're going to sell them 234 Hunt for $5,000.
Okay. John, I'll have to do 2 separate votes on this, right? C and D or not, or just one?
You can do one if you like, it's up to you.
Okay, let's do them together, unless there's questions or objections, okay. So I'll ask for a motion to, for a vote on purchase properties Home Headquarters Incorporated and sell 234 Hunt Avenue to Home Headquarters. Motion?
Mike?
Michael, second? Second, Jonathan, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. E, contract for multiple demolitions on Brighton Avenue.
In your packet on page 10, you'll see that we got 3 bids for these demolitions. There's also a map on page 9 of your packet. It's a strange property because I want to say that's 143 actually contains 3 houses on 1 parcel. I don't know how that came to be. And then 139 has a large like pole barn in the back that they had been using for commercial purposes previously. So it's not all that many parcels, but it's actually 8 fairly sizable structures that need to come down. So we got bids from 3 contractors, and we are recommending that we go with not the lowest bidder, but with Crisafulli, just because Bronze does have 11 jobs lined up, and they've historically been much slower than our other demolition contractors. I'm concerned if we add these additional 8, who knows when they would finish.
Okay. This will make many members of the Common Council pretty happy on this. So is there any questions at all from Caitlin?
It's unusual that we get this many contiguous parcels. So we're glad to be able to clean up this mess. You know, we started acquiring these properties last fall, so it hasn't been all that long that we've owned this bundle. And I think that there's probably some interesting opportunities here for infill construction when we're done.
Okay. Unless there's questions, I'll ask for approve a motion for the contract for multiple demolitions in Brighton Avenue. So moved. Gianna, second. Michael, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. F, contract for stabilization 366 West Onondaga.
Starting on page 36 of your packet, there's a letter from the developers, and the stabilization budget is on page 37. And Chris LaBerge is here, who can talk a little bit about what they would like to do. You want to?
Sure.
Hi, Chris.
So yeah, thank you for considering this request. I know it's been a long time we've been working on this project. There's already been some support given, but we continue to work on it. Unfortunately, where we've been stuck, we've gotten a tremendous amount of support, public funding. The unfortunate part is we're still trying to find a lender that will bridge all of that funding. So that's taken about the last 12 months, and we're still out there pounding the pavement. In the intervening period, there's a bunch of different things with the house that have deteriorated. I might remember, but we had done some stabilization work back 2021, 2022 that put the house in good condition, at least in terms of the central structure. There was some beams and columns that were failing. Now on the envelope of the building, there had been Yankee gutters in the house originally. So those are gutters that are decorative, and then the downspout goes through the wall. Those were removed at some point, and the flashing that went over the top has failed. And so there's a couple sections of one of the exterior walls on the north side that have rotted through. And it's starting to compromise some of the floor joists on the first floor. So what we've asked Caitlin and you all to consider is some grant funding to address those issues so that we can get more time to work on the project. I do feel like, we're literally right there. We've had some good conversations with Sedco, with Home Headquarters about lending to the project as a kind of an alternate option, but we have a gap left to fill. I'm hopeful we can do that in the next, 3 to 6 months. But I'm worried about these conditions heading into the winter, so.
And I have complete confidence in Chris and Luke moving forward with this project, but worst case scenario, let's say for some reason it doesn't work out, this will still preserve, an asset that we own and prevent it from becoming a demolition candidate. So it seems like a good use of our LBI stabilization funds. But that's not going to happen.
No, it's not. We do continue to turn up. It's just slow, but we do continue to turn up new potential financial partners. We've talked to just about every local and regional bank, but now we're casting a wider net. There's other folks we were aware of, but we had opted to stay more local. Now we're going more regional, national. There's another group that, is investing some Community Reinvestment Act funds on behalf of one of the banks that we're talking to. That's a little more complicated because equity investment is tough with the tax credits we're trying to claim, but that's another option that we're investigating. So like Caitlin said, there's still leads. It's just unfortunately taken an insane amount of time. I really don't understand, and I've said this to everybody that will listen, I don't understand how none of these lenders are really able to give any value to the grants and the tax credits up front. I understand there's an appraisal gap with the project on the back, but you would think that there would be some value ascribed to the grants and the tax credits, but apparently they say no, too big a gap, too risky. So anyway, there are other people we're talking to that we think can get there, but that's where we've gotten today. So.
And not that it makes you feel any better, but this is a problem across the board with commercial projects of this scale right now.
And we certainly appreciate your efforts. This is a key corridor, everything that sort of like circles around that area is entry to downtown. So, I'm totally in favor of this. So any other questions from the board? Okay, hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve the contract for stabilization at 366 West Onondaga. So moved. Mo, second? Second, Oceana, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, G, allow the sale of 1107 Butternut Street and enter a development enforcement mortgage of Spence Romeo 1914 LLC.
So 1107 Butternut Street, we sold to Adnan Securi. He made progress through a significant amount of the renovations, but it's gotten to a point where he just doesn't think financially he can continue. So he's had it on the market looking for another buyer. We occasionally allow our buyers to do this when they have made a significant investment. I don't want to foreclose and take that equity from them. So we've given him an opportunity to sell it to another qualified buyer. So we have vetted this LLC. They don't have any code violations. They do have a good plan, and they have the financing in place to finish the renovations. Somebody who's under one of our development enforcement mortgages cannot sell the property without your permission. So I'm recommending that you give him permission contingent upon his buyer entering into a new development enforcement mortgage with us.
Any questions?
You looked into the ownership behind this LLC, made sure that they're,
Yes, we asked them for their articles of organization and their operating agreement so we can see who the members are, and then we research those members.
Any other questions? Okay. G, allow the sale of 1107 Butternut Street and enter in development enforcement mortgage of Spence Romeo 1914 LLC. I have a motion. Motion, Michael, second. Second, Jonathan, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, H, multiple procurements for Stickley House.
You want to take one of these and pass it down. I thought it was going to be multiple, but I'm sorry, it's actually just one item.
Single.
Our architect has been seeking quotes for custom tile for the rear addition that is going to match the style of the existing building. That's something that the State Historic Preservation Office will approve. Even though we've tried to get quotes from multiple manufacturers, only one has bid on the job at almost $39,000. This would be using the Save America's Treasures grant from the federal government. Is there anything that I'm missing?
That's all.
Okay.
Continuing to move as quickly as we can to get these finished prior to the deadline and get this all wrapped up, so.
So we're seeking your authorization to purchase this custom tile from Mercantile Studio, Inc.
Okay, any questions from the board? Okay, ask for a motion of multiple procurements for the Stickley House. Member Jonathan, second. Second, Oceana. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and then we got discussions.
It might be obvious from all the money that you guys voted to spend today, but we did, since our last meeting, get another award of LBI funds, another $2 million from New York State.
Excellent.
We're very pleased. A lot of that will be used for demolitions. We have another 10 or so that'll be going out to bid, I think, later today. And then a big chunk for stabilization, including 366 Western Onondaga Street and a handful of other residential properties. And then we are going to be using some of it for grant assistance to existing owner occupants who need home ownership repair assistance. And so we're working to enter into an arrangement with Home Headquarters for them to administer those grants for us. So good news that the money keeps flowing from HCR.
That's always good news. B.
Yeah. I also wanted to bring to your attention, we often refer to buildable versus non-buildable lots. Typically in the city, you need to have at least 40 feet of frontage in order to build new. And then there's additional requirements about how far you have to be set back from the side boundaries and how far you have to be set back from the street, and maximum percentage of the lot that is allowed to be covered with impermeable surface. And so we've always thought of 40 feet plus as buildable, but it was recently brought to my attention that a pre-existing lot is also considered buildable. As long as you can comply with all of those other area requirements, you are allowed to build. If it's, say, well, it doesn't matter. It could be as small as 12 feet, and you could still be legally allowed to build as long as it's pre-existing. So we are just thinking it's a little, I guess it's not quite accurate to use the terminology non-buildable. So Terry and I have been talking about calling them non-conforming versus conforming. So we're going to make that change going forward. And it's just something I think to be aware of, that it's a good thing. It's easier now to build on those non-conforming lots. Under the old zoning code, you would have had to get an area variance, and they are no longer requiring that. So that's a nice change from rezone. And we've been trying to find good designs that'll fit on narrower lots. I've attached some of those here in your packet. Yes, I think I did. Yes, all of them. So Terry worked with an architect, Peter Arsenault, to design 4 of these modular homes, most of which are a pretty good fit for the narrower lots. So we're starting to get some private developers that are interested in using those designs. And I'm hopeful that we'll see some more homes getting built on these narrow lots.
Was there, looking at the architectural designs, was there any thought to charging like a small fee to use those just as a, I mean, we're always struggling with revenue, so.
Yeah. I hadn't really thought about it. They'll have to pay the architect himself for him to prepare the permit drawings and the site plan for that specific site, whichever site they
The
select.
architect that's not on staff.
We don't have a staff architect.
That's what I mean, so,
Oh, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
great that they're paying him, but I'm looking
Right,
more
right,
for
right.
money for us, not for him.
No, I hadn't thought about it, but I mean, the thing with these new constructions is that the budget is always so tight. I mean, right now, most of them are upside down. So I think if I wasn't in a position where I was trying to beg people to build on our lots, then maybe. But
Justifiably.
yeah. Maybe someday the numbers will look different. So that's what's going on there. I also wanted to talk about the pace of foreclosures. I'm not sure if I sent you guys this table, but I will email you a table of how many we've been getting. We've averaged only 7.9 a month so far this year, and we really need to be averaging closer to 20. There are probably 2,000 seizable properties out there, so we still have a significant backlog, even though we've been at this now for many, many years. they have ramped back up again since the city adopted their new foreclosure law. So we're just hopeful that they will ramp up even further. Actually, that table is in there, isn't it?
Well,
Page 12, thank you. So we are hoping to get a little bit more of a consistent pace of foreclosures. It's been a little bit sporadic so far this year. I've had some conversations with the mayor about that. And in addition, we are very eager to assemble more building lots. I was pretty surprised recently. Home Headquarters asked me for a list of anything we have that's at least 50 feet wide that's not committed to another project. And I was shocked that I could only give them 66 options. Meanwhile, we have 800 properties in our inventory. Some of these demolitions that we're doing, we can assemble into building lots. But what we've done here is put together a list, it starts on page 41 of your packet, of lots that you guys have previously voted on that are adjacent to ones that we own or that are adjacent to each other, where we could easily put together some shovel-ready sites, including the short list that you guys voted on earlier in this meeting. So I'd like to send this over to the mayor and request that they try to expedite these to the degree that they can. And you'll notice there's a column here for city-owned. All of these can be transferred to us relatively quickly because they don't have to go through the steps of the foreclosure. We've been really lucky compared to other land banks. We always have a lot of shovel-ready sites, so we're able to bring home a lot of grant dollars to spend. And I think it's helped Home Headquarters and Housing Visions and some of the other nonprofits in town that we're able to enter into these contracts with them and give them the site control that they need. So I just want to make sure that we're staying ahead of the demand and maintaining a good portfolio of sites for them to choose from. So that's just really for your information. It does not require a vote. I also wanted to update you on 139 Maxwell. The very last page of your packet shows the Evoque model of a manufactured home. We are building one of these with funding from HCR, and the house was delivered last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. The house has been delivered and installed on its foundation. They are putting in the driveway. The one-car garage behind it has been built. If they haven't already, they should be very soon hooking up the water and sewer, and I'd say within a few weeks we'll be able to put it on the market. It's been a great experience. It's been very fast, and Champion Homes that manufactures the house also does the install, so it's relatively little work for us compared to any other new construction options. And HCR is very enthusiastic about this, and they want us to build 60 of them, which is another reason why we need a lot more lots. This home needs a 48-foot lot to fit on. So Terry has been going through all of our existing inventory also and flagging streets where a single-story house would not seem out of place. I wouldn't want to plop this down in the middle of a bunch of 2 stories where it just doesn't visually fit in. This house is on a slab, so it doesn't have a basement, which is why we built the garage. We felt like it needed that extra storage. But I think it would be a good option for somebody who maybe needs single-story living. You've got a nice big laundry room. It would be very easy to add a ramp to the side door if you needed that. So I think that there's probably folks that would like a single-story house. It's 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths.
I mean, looking at these vacant lots, it seems like there's certain areas where are so empty. I'm looking at Fitch Street here.
Yes, we're basically
where
creating
you
a
could
new
create a
context.
whole neighborhood,
Yeah.
a whole neighborhood dynamic, basically.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would think that that would be a good strategy for some of these neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm. And then an update on co-development projects. I forwarded you guys some maps that we're working with Tucker Missionary Baptist Church on. We and the church have both signed a short-term lease for 2.5 years with a construction company that's working on the 81 project. So they'll be using those sites for material storage. In exchange, not only are they paying rent, which is pretty good for a vacant lot, they're also clearing them. There's a lot of heavily wooded sections there with a lot of dead trees and undergrowth. So they're clearing all of that out and leveling the lots so that when they're done, they'll be ready for us to build on. And so we're working with Tucker on some plans using these modular designs so that we'll be ready to apply for AHOP funding and be ready to break ground around the time that that lease is ending. Same with Jubilee Homes. We have pivoted to looking at these modular designs because the stick-built options we were looking at were just too incredibly expensive to work. So the 35 sites that we're looking at with Jubilee on the near west side, we're now looking at doing modular designs on. And Blueprint 15, I just wanted to update everyone that the two properties we discussed purchasing at the last meeting, 1228 and 1260 South State Street, both of those purchase offers have been accepted, and we'll be acquiring those and assembling some larger sites there. That's all I've got.
I have one
Yes.
question related to the comment about using the Delaware home side by side and changing the roof line for Jubilee. Are you looking at flipping it so that the stairways and hallways align, so you don't have a bedroom next door?
Yes, absolutely. So they will be mirror images. The doors will be in the center. And that side has far fewer windows, so it won't be bad to lose those 3 windows on that side.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Caitlin. Motion to adjourn. Second? All in favor? Aye, we're adjourned.
Thank you. Boy, we packed a lot into 28 minutes.
Yes, we did. I love it. It was my